please pay attention because this is now the foundation. So far it was only a background story. Now we are going into the science of it. Yeah. So now key features of midbrain. Now you have to understand midbrain perfectly, and believe me that I will tell you something and I am going to tell you what is going to happen because this has happened with everybody that I have come across. Okay, I will tell you something, you feel that you have realized or understood the point, but people do not understand the point in terms of implementation. So please pay attention. This is one slide where you can interrupt me and ask me a question if you want, but make sure that you understand this concept. The first concept about midbrain is that it cannot understand or reason. Okay? That is the great thing which people find difficult to digest, and that is why I wanted you not to think of midbrain as part of the brain, because you associate brain with understanding and you associate brain with thinking and you understand brain with reasoning, right? Now that is what the higher brain does. Okay? Midbrain and reptile brains cannot and do not do it. So number one, midbrain does not understand. Means what? Nothing, exactly. It understands nothing. It is a machine. It obeys what it is told. It just does what it has been programmed for. But it does not, underline, does not understand. Is that clear? At least the implication will become clear. But yes.
What does understand mean?
Understand means you have a data and you make sense of the data. You have something and you make sense of it. You know what it means, what it should mean, right? That is understanding, right? So let me give an example. Okay, so you are at a height, and if you take one step further, you will fall and you will get injured, right? So that is an understanding. A person understands. I mean, it doesn't have to be taught. He knows about gravity, and he knows that if I am standing here and if I take another step, I will fall, right? So that is what brain does, it understands. But now you please understand that child does not understand this, right? The child does not understand that if it takes another step, it will fall. It falls, right? Because child, his higher brain is not developed at all. It has not yet acquired the ability of reasoning. It has not acquired the ability to take the data, use it for future events. That is a skill that needs to be developed, that gets developed, but it has not developed. So in child, it is the midbrain which is in control. When we are born, it is the midbrain which is in control, because there is no higher brain for all practical matters. It is not a functioning brain. It takes 16 years for that brain to mature. Okay? Only at the age of 16 we say that midbrain, higher brain, actually the parts are also not developed. In the higher brain, it's not only the connection. New neurons keep on forming in child, and all that happens till the age of 16, when we say that, okay, that's why we say that 16, 18 is the age of maturity. Okay? But till that time, for 1 day child, 1 week child, 1 month child, 10-month child, and for most of us lifelong, it is the midbrain which controls us. Okay? So the child does not understand that it will fall. Of course, midbrain learns. I'm not saying it doesn't learn, but it's his way of learning. That's the whole thing I'm going to explain. That it learns, but it learns differently. It doesn't learn by understanding. It learns by experience, and it learns by orders. So the child falls once, child falls second time, child falls third time. It doesn't understand, but it learns that if I do this, I will fall. So it stops doing that. So its midbrain learns that it will fall, but it doesn't still understand. That faculty of understanding is not there in the midbrain. Okay? That's why please consider it as a machine. Don't consider it as a brain. Computer will understand nothing unless you teach the computer to understand something. Till that point, computer on its own, with all its hardware installed, with all the windows installed, unless you have given the data, it understands nothing. and it understands anything that you tell it. Exactly the same thing with the midbrain. It understands nothing and it will learn whatever you tell it. Whatever you tell it. You tell it that you must go and kill somebody and in the meanwhile you should get killed so that Allah will reward you. Oh, it learns that. It learns that. It doesn't understand. It doesn't need to understand. Brainwashing is what? Brainwashing is making the midbrain learn the way you want it to learn. Okay? So the midbrain can learn anything. It can learn absurd things. But not by explanation, not by explaining things to him. It learns one by ordering or by experience. These are the two ways in which midbrain learns. So it learns changes, but by a process completely different than what is used for learning and changing for higher brain. It cannot distinguish between long-term good and bad. It cannot distinguish between what is beneficial and harmful. It does not, it allowed, and whether something is allowed or not allowed. Okay? So it does not understand that cigarette smoking has a long-term bad effect on you. You will get cancer. Okay? It does not. It cannot compare those two things. That short-term pleasure, long-term harm. So long-term harm is more powerful than short-term pleasure. So let me not choose it. Okay? That is what higher brain does. Higher brain is perfectly capable of doing that. Okay? But even then, people who understand this, why are they not able to quit? Because it is the midbrain which is in control, and midbrain doesn't give a shit about what is going to happen after 10 years. It doesn't give a damn about what is going to happen about 1 month later on. Okay? It bothers about just now. Just now, am I going to get pleasure? Then I want it. Because that is the way it has been programmed. So it does not understand that something is bad. Okay? So long term, short term, all these considerations are not there for midbrain. Also, it doesn't understand beneficial, harmful, all these concepts on which we base our life. And now we start realizing why it is no good to explain the bad effects of smoking, drinking, or whatever, because the person knows it. He already knows it. So you have to educate his midbrain. Unfortunately, it is not possible for other person to educate somebody else's midbrain. I can educate your higher brain because my higher brain can have a direct dialogue with your higher brain. One of the reasons, this is the frustration I have. When in my life journey I came across all this knowledge, I felt, such a fantastic thing, such a useful thing. Let me tell it to people. So about stress, actually I take those seminars on stress. It's a 2-day full seminar. I say, hey, now I got answer for how not to get stress at all. And it's genuine. You really will, it will happen. So I try to explain it to people, and what effect it has? It has big zero effect. Why? Because I communicate with their higher brain. Because that is the only brain I can communicate with. So I can explain to them how bad stress is and how it can be avoided. What changes you should make in yourself so that you will not get stressed. And people get impressed and they say, oh, yes. Arvind, now tell me, now I'm going to start this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make changes in this way. After 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, they're exactly back to the square one. Nothing changes. Nothing changes because it's the midbrain which is in control, total control, okay? And midbrain doesn't care whether you are stressed or not, okay? It's happy with the way, and actually it is not even that. It doesn't care, means it doesn't understand. See, it is programmed to function certain way and it functions that way. It's very simple. That's why if you really want to appreciate this model and make changes, I'm not even saying that you take the model of 3 brains. Even that is a defective model. Say that I have a brain which is wise, which can think, and I have 2 machines, and those machines are programmed in this fashion. Luckily, the 3rd machine of reptile brain has been programmed very nicely, so I don't have to worry about it. This damn middle machine has been programmed wrongly. It has been programmed wrongly because 10,000 years back, what was necessary? That is how it has been programmed. and today it is turning out to be bad. Okay, so let me change it by taking control to higher brain. That is what has to happen. Okay? And suppose now you think as an engineer's problem. You want to design a machine where it starts learning on its own. Okay, now it's a very difficult problem. That's what people are trying to do in all this business, artificial intelligence. That it must learn on its own. Now, how will you design it? No? So first thing you will do is that you will allow it to experience things, and then you will tell it what is good and what is bad, and then you will say, okay, this experience is bad, this experience is good, right? And then it will accumulate the data, and accordingly it will try to modify its own software. That's what it will try to do, and that's exactly nature has designed. But to give a guideline, it has said that, okay, if everything being equal, what you should seek for? You should seek pleasure, and you should avoid pain. Very obvious, isn't it? Because pleasure also is related to survival, right? So you should seek pleasure and you should avoid pain is the guideline that is given to midbrain, on the basis of which it tries to program itself. And naturally, if cigarette smoking is going to give you immediate pleasure, if cocaine is going to give you immediate pleasure, if shouting at somebody is going to give you immediate pleasure, then that's what you will learn to do. Okay? Because that is the immediate pleasure, that is the only thing that midbrain recognizes, and it will program itself to do that. And it's a very faithful, it's like Terminator, you know. I mean, you protect that child, that is the job given to the Terminator, it will just do that, even if it is killed. It doesn't understand I am going to get killed, right? So it is programmed to protect that child, it will protect that child no matter what. But if it is programmed to kill that child like the other Terminator, it will do that. It's a machine. So please remember, everything if you want, it's a machine. Okay, that word will help you in understanding. So this pleasure and center, this is what is guiding principle. Now it has been pre-wired for historical reasons. And again, I don't think I should spend time on explaining why this has been a good programming 10,000. I mean, you are all intelligent people, you can think back later on and you will see that this was a good programming at that time. So it changes, but it changes with certain rules. And now, if you agree that this programming is a bad programming for the current time, then what you have to do is, we have to make changes, but we have to understand the way in which this brain changes so that you can accordingly make those changes. I mean, to a person, suppose today you want to tell me something and you start talking to me in Russian language. Well, I will just listen to it, nothing has happened, right? I don't understand anything. So when you try to tell a midbrain, this is not good, you should not do this, it's like a child, it is not understanding what you are saying, it's like a machine which is not, for a computer to understand, you have to go and punch those keys in a proper sequence. That is the language it understands, you know. So we are doing all things wrongly. We are saying how higher brain understands. Oh, you explain to the higher brain, then higher brain understands what is good, what is bad. So that is the same thing we follow for all these problems. We try to explain. Zero effect. Because this explaining has nothing to do with the midbrain. It's already programmed. Even if you keep on telling the midbrain for 100 years, 500 years, 10,000 years, believe me, nothing will change in the midbrain. It will keep on following, but it will change, it will change. So to understand that, now we will see how it changes, how it learns. Once you understand that, then we will know what to do. So as I said, yep. Oh, no. See, let's not go in a peripheral issues, because there is no scientific evidence for all these things. I know what you are talking about. I don't want to spend time on that right now, because anyway, nothing is scientifically established, you know. So if nothing is established, I say there is no effect. That is the way science goes. If you say that there is effect, you show me the evidence. That is how science goes. And nobody can show any evidence. These parts are in the process of building. If somebody says that you do all that during pregnancy, you read this, and you show me a scan of 1 second child where there are neurons in his higher brains are pre-connected to some extent, that is the proof that during pregnancy those neurons got connected. Let some proof of that kind come. Let me assure you, such proof will not come. It is not developed yet. It will not happen. Anyway, it's a different topic, right? So now root of the problem, let's understand it. Of course, you must have guessed it by now. The root of the problem is there are two centers of power, right? There are two things which are exerting influence on you. And now you understand the meaning of the sentence that I want to quit cigarette, but I cannot quit cigarette. So what is happening? Your higher brain is saying that I want to quit cigarette, and your mid brain is saying that I cannot quit cigarette. Okay? So all that is the central answer for all those behavioral issues. One brain is saying one thing, another brain is saying another thing, and unfortunately is the midbrain which is in control and which dictates, in which wins. Every time there is a tussle between higher brain and midbrain, believe me, it is the midbrain which wins. Because by default, that authority has been given to the midbrain by nature. Because at the time of birth, higher brain cannot and should not take control. Midbrain has to take control. And therefore that authority has been given by nature. It has happened that way. And as we understand all this, we must make conscious efforts to take that authority away from the midbrain and take it to the higher brain. Now believe me, one thing about midbrain, if you try to take away this authority, midbrain is not going to resist. That is the funny thing. Because again, it doesn't understand that authority is being taken away, you know. It has, I mean, it's like machine, like you try changing a computer program, computer is not going to tell you, hey, come on, I have used this program for 5 years, I don't want to be changed. It is not going to happen that way. So there is not going to be resistance. Only thing is, it's going to take time and different method of changing. But if you do that, it will change. It has to change. It has no choice. Okay? So we are having these two different power-up centers and they have different goals. Midbrain has an evolutionary goal and that is survival. And higher brain has a higher goal of being happy. See, the way evolution works, evolution doesn't care if a species is happy or not. Okay? It cares whether you survive or not. So it emphasizes on negative emotions. Okay? As far as you produce children, evolution doesn't care whether you are happily producing children or unhappily producing children. Okay? So midbrain function is not to maximize your happiness. Its function is to maximize pleasure. There is a difference between pleasure and happiness, right? So if you want to be happy, it's the higher brain which has to work for it, and it has to accordingly change the midbrain programming. So they have different goals, they have different aspirations, they have different methods of working, everything different. Their architecture is different, there are different strengths and weaknesses, there are different speeds. Yeah, this is very important. I will talk about that a little bit. And by default, midbrain is in control. So in very essence, there are two power-up centers which are not even fighting actually. There is no fight. Higher brain has given up. Higher brain has not even realized that it has a power, you know. And I'll give you two instances of when there is a two centers of power, what happens. One instance where it works, and one instance where it just cannot work. You know, the instance where it works is, you know, there is a family and the husband and wife, and they used to get along very, very, very well. Never any argument. Nothing, no fight, nothing. So friend asked husband, hey, how come you never have argument? We have so much argument, we don't agree on so many things. He said, oh no, we have come across a very, very nice system which works. So, you know, he said that we have divided all the areas of life in which what I say runs, other area what he says is runs. So what we have done is, I have taken all the important areas in life, like what should Obama do, what should Manmohan Singh do? Did Sachin Tendulkar play that shot properly, or he should have done like this? Or should Dhoni have declared? Should taxes be increased? Should these politicians have said something? This has happened, so which is what society should do? So in all these very, very big important issues, I decide what is to be done and what is correct, and she never interferes. She gives me full freedom. She never argues with me. And in all unimportant areas, like what should be done with children, which school they should go, where we should go out, whether we should go out in the house, what he should eat, whether I should use this dress or something else, and what we should buy. You know, in all such minor issues, you know, that is her area. And I don't interfere in that. Whatever she says, stands. So we have this nice, clear, demarcated area. Important areas I handle, all these unimportant areas she handles. So this arrangement works. But this arrangement works for two reasons. One is there is a clear demarcation, both agree on it, and luckily women are quite smart to do their job fine. So it works. Now the area where it doesn't work, India. We have a prime minister who is very intelligent, who is very clever, who probably knows what should be done with the economy, who is very honest, who knows, who feels that, oh, this should be done, that should be done, that should be done, that should be done. So here is higher brain. We have perfectly capable. If you put the resumes of Manmohan Singh and all the world leaders, Manmohan Singh will stand out. Nobody will have a resume like him. So we have a fantastic, capable man. And then we have another power center which is guided by what is good for me. Right? What is good for me. And then, as it happens, we know which power center is controlling. Right? But can Manmohan Singh take away the control? Yeah, he can if he wants. But he doesn't understand that he can take away the control. Neither does he want to take away the control. Right? So here we have a higher brain which is perfectly capable of doing all fine kind of analysis, and which also knows that it can take away the control. It also knows that if it takes away the control, lots of problems in the life would be resolved, but it doesn't do it. And midbrain is not going to come to you, sir, please, now time has come for the transfer of power. That unfortunately has not been programmed in it. If it was programmed, it would do that also. But that has not been programmed, so midbrain doesn't do it, and we are just happy with the way things are going on, and therefore, really believe me that in 99.9% cases, there are very, 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 very few people where the transfer of power takes place. In very few cases where it takes place because of external constraints, because of the environment. Very few people do it consciously, because first of all, very few people understand or know this, right? There are these two things, and this having this dual power center. This knowledge is not there, gone to the people yet. So that is the basic problem. But now at least we know. Now knowing always has two problems. I mean, it has a benefit. If you use the knowledge, then you benefit. But there is a big disadvantage. Now that you know, now you cannot transfer the responsibility to somebody else. Now squarely if you don't make changes, now squarely if you don't become better person, it is you, your higher brain, which is to be blamed, because I am going to show you that it can take charge. And therefore if you do not take charge, and if you want to find out who is the person who has spoiled your life, please go and stand in front of the mirror. Okay, that is the person who has spoiled your complete life. Okay, now Dr. Janet Norden, I did her course, very nice. The way these internet courses are phenomenal. I mean, the kind of knowledge you can get and the way they teach. I mean, I never liked IIT professors, but now seeing what is possible, oops, I don't want to even say anything about them. It's really to be experienced. So let's take a very quick tour of the anatomy of the midbrain.
But it's with the limbic system that we're engaged with the world. So our sensory systems allow us to know about an external world and to take information about it. Our motor system allows us to act in the world. But it's with our limbic systems we're engaged with the world. We see, we hear, we act. But we actively engage with our limbic systems. So the limbic system is composed of a very large number of nuclei with very complicated connections to each other. We have emotions and memory and other things associated with those experiences. And it's the limbic system, which is that umbrella system, which integrates information in this way. In this lecture, what I wanted to focus on is the anatomy of the system, brain, that adds enormously to our lives in a way that allows us to experience pleasure, for example, to enjoy doing things like taking a course and learning new things. It adds what might be called an emotional texture to our lives. And so this is a system that we should all celebrate. It allows us to remember events that have taken place in our lives. We're going to see that there are disorders that can take this away from us. And one of the reasons these disorders are so devastating is because, in fact, they remove elements of the limbic system. It's this system, this limbic system, which is going to give each and every one of us a unique personality. Each one of us engages with the world in a unique way, and it's the limbic system that allows that. And so a lot of areas that were involved, in addition to this lobe that Broca had identified, and so he put forth that there was a limbic system. And so again, he was being influenced by the time and what was known at the time, and part of that was that the brain could be divided into these systems. So there was a visual system, there was a motor system. And so he decided that since more areas were involved than Broca originally thought, and there were more functions that were involved. It wasn't just memory like Broca had thought, but there was learning and memory and emotion. And so all of these were tied up together, and so he decided to call it a limbic system. Now, pigs in the limbic system where memory and emotion can be related to one another. So there's a constant feedback circuit.
Just one thing, small. Up to what time people are prepared to wait? Because I have a lot of portion to cover. So if, it will go on till 2 o'clock. If I have to cut short, then I have to drop most of the thing and try to go to the end now. If a lot of people are prepared to stay over till okay, then I will proceed properly. Those who don't have time or other engagement probably can leave, right? That would be the. But believe me, these would be the 2-3 good hours you have spent because this right so far it has been entertaining, right? But useful part will start coming later.
That's going to allow the
Yep.
moment
Yep.
to moment.
Yep, sure.
Excuse me, can you have a break and through and then continue after 3 or after the story?
See, it's a matter of priority in life, you know. If somebody gives me this knowledge, I would stay without food for 2 days. So it's everybody's decision. No, you don't have to go without food. But what I'm saying is everybody. See, it is. Okay, so let me go a little faster. I think faster is okay. People are understanding. Yeah. So this programming is at 2 levels. One is that something happens in the world and it produces emotions in you, right? Now I will briefly explain what is emotion, but it produces emotion in you. So that is a one level of programming that we have to take care of. That means the event should not produce the emotion at all, right? And that is a stage achieved by very few people, maybe Mahatma Gandhi and Mother Teresa. No matter what happens, they don't get disturbed, they don't form the, but that's what you should aspire for, right? The second stage of programming is easier, and that's what most of us learn. But again, most of us learn by experience, not by design. And that is the stage of what action we should take, you know. So very early in the game, we realize that the boss is talking nonsense and you are correct, and you want to shout at him and you want to tell him he is useless and doesn't understand anything, or the child feels that the mother is totally wrong in not giving him something at that time and want to even hit her or whatever. But very early in the game, people realize that that is not a good response, you know, it doesn't really benefit. So that stage people acquire pretty fast. But the first stage is much more difficult. But again, that stage is possible to acquire in what everybody should at least acquire to aspire. Now, this is a time where I want to introduce a very concept because of subconscious mind. Because subconscious mind is a word that most people are familiar with rather than midbrain and higher brain and lower brain. So you can categorize anything into based on the what selection criteria is. Right? So I have selected a criteria of physical existence because you can show that this is midbrain. You can show this is a higher brain. You can show that this is a subconscious mind. So subconscious mind is a division based on the function, how the part functions. So, but it is an important concept. So let me just very briefly say that. So subconscious mind is reptile brain plus midbrain plus all sensory processing plus all activities which were carried out by higher brain earlier but which are now become so routine that it does not need conscious attention. So simply what you can say is what doesn't require conscious attempt, what doesn't require a conscious knowledge, what can happen without our being consciously aware of, that all is subconscious, right? Yes, it is, because midbrain, reptile brain, all these are automated response, and whatever is we have from habits, that also goes in that, and but that can be, but all of it can be changed is again what is the point. But if you don't change it, yes, whatever happens without you sort of considering it, okay, and making a conscious decision, what doesn't require that, all is subconscious. Yeah. No, that is anyway it is in the reptile brain, right? So motor function etc. is taken care of by a reptile brain. Exactly. Then you don't have to bother about it. So that goes in a subconscious mind. Yeah. So yeah. Let me just explain one or two concepts about the midbrain. One concept is important is that it is very fast. Okay. See, midbrain I am talking in terms of negative language because it is creating problem, but understand that it is a very powerful machine and it can do lot of things that a higher brain cannot do. For example, higher brain can only take care of 7-8 items at a time. That's how memory works. So more than 7-8 it cannot handle at a time. Subconscious mind or midbrain can handle n number of items at a time. Okay. Also it is very fast. Now this fast has a direct implication. So let me explain. The thalamus, it receives a lot of sensory information. So what does it do with the sensory information? It has to sort it and then it has to pass on to the sensory part of the brain. The visual input will go to the visual part, touch will go somewhere else. So accordingly it will pass. But what nature has done is all the sensory information that it gets, say 5% of it or 10% of it is in a different loop, it is passed on to amygdala, the midbrain. Okay? Now that transfer is very fast compared to the information that goes to higher brain. Okay? And midbrain, whenever it gets that information, it instantaneously reacts because it is programmed. So as soon as that data input, data output. Okay? No thinking is required. Whereas higher brain has to process the data. So first of all, higher brain gets the data little later and also it needs time to process it. So decision by midbrain is always by design, nature, is faster. Now again think of 10,000 years back. Why? Also it gets only 5% data. So it can be a defective data. It is not a complete data. Therefore its decision can be wrong and many times it is wrong. But consider why this is there by nature. Consider 10,000 years back. You just see something which is like a lion. Okay? Now your visual, everything has given some input which is corresponding to that lion. Okay? Now you don't care what color that lion is, whether it is strip or is what age or what family or what it is. Lion. That's all. Right? So that 5% information, lion, danger, that thalamus passes on to midbrain. Says run, run, run. If you wait for the higher brain to understand all the characteristics of the lion and then you put it in analysis, what does the history say, lions is dangerous, what is the percentage of my chances of survival if I don't run, and at the end of the analysis he says, nah, correct thing to do is run. By that time I'm sorry you are not going to be there to run. Right? So this nature has developed this system for that time. Okay? For that time. But now what happens is, this system once it is designed, it is not used only for lion, it is used for everything. So something happens which you don't like, okay? Same thing, that something you don't like, something has happened which you don't like. That information goes to amygdala. Amygdala says, oh, I don't like, do this. What is road rage? You know, many times people do something in the spur of the moment, which they would not do if they were thinking. You know, all these things that happen, because the information goes to amygdala, amygdala takes a decision, and it has a direct connection with all the ordering mechanism, and the order gets executed. And then there are times where the midbrain has a capacity to even block higher brain's order. So if there is a conflict between higher brain order and midbrain order, is the midbrain order which is designed to get executed. Okay? So it is very fast. It gets part of that data, and this is all we cannot do anything about. Okay? This is going to happen. So this is one problem. Yeah, all this is very interesting stuff, but we'll skip probably. Yeah, so the question is, who should be in charge? Now, 50,000 years back, it was a good idea to give the control to the midbrain, because it knew what to do, how to survive. But now that picture has changed, so that is why the need to okay. Now little bit of science needed to go through the understanding. So just put me with the, but try to, you will not understand everything, but just get a understanding of how complex the whole thing is and what happens inside neurons I'm talking about, but what happens inside with these neurons. So let us understand that. So as I said, is the connection between neurons, that is knowledge. So this is a typical neuron. Oh, you can see there are a lot of tree-like structure here. There are a lot of branches. This is the nucleus, and this is the axon, and this is dendrite. Can you see the dendrites? It's faint, right? Okay, let us. Yeah, this is better. Yeah. So this is the nucleus. These are all dendrites, and this is called axon. Okay. Because if you say that you attended some lecture on brain for 3 hours, then there are 2-3 terms that you must know, because that will always come. And if you say that you don't know them, then they will say, oh, what did Arvind do? So those terms are neuron and synapse. Okay? So neurons, of course, now you know. Now synapse is another term. So what happens is, all these are connected means what? These are the dendrites which are receiving signal, the branches. We receive a signal from other neurons, and based on that they generate something, they pass it on to this part which is called axon, and this axon is connected with other neurons, and it passes on that information to the other neurons. Okay? And all this thing is done through electrochemical mechanism. That means some chemicals are formed which generate some voltage. That is what happens. So the great thing is, this neuron is connected to something like 10,000 or 50,000 neurons. Each neuron will give it some information, some signal. Okay? So this neuron will get information from thousands and thousands of neurons. It will integrate that information. On integrating that information, it will pass on that information to its axon. That axon will in turn pass on the information to another 10,000, 50,000 neurons. And this whole thing will form a circuit. Okay? And this formation of the circuit, this formation of connection between neurons is what the knowledge is. And in midbrain, these all connections have been already done. And in higher brain, we do those connections. Now, of course, depending on the function of the neuron, where it is, what part is to play, it has a different types of structures for the dendrites and all. Now synapse. So this is a this is the axon, this is a dendrite. Now it wants to pass on, and this gap in between, nanometer gap. Okay, this gap in between is called synapse. So if you want to impress somebody, it says synapse, it happens like that in synapse. Then the person will know, yes, you know a lot about brain. Okay? So now what happens? See, consider this, some lot of information has come in terms of electrical signal from so many people, so many other axons. It has integrated that information. That information comes to this part of the neuron which is axon, and then this axon has sacs with lots of neurotransmitters, lots of chemicals. Okay, and depending on the signal, it decides which sac should release those neurotransmitters. Okay? And at what frequency it should be released, how much should be released, and what should be released. Okay? That decision is made, and so it releases a lot of chemicals which are called neurotransmitter. Then this receiving part has receptors. Those receptors are very specific for each neurotransmitter. So it has a receptor for lots of neurotransmitter. Depending on, again it is shape based, those innate intellectual people, they will understand this what I am talking about. It is all on the shape. So if the proper shape fits like a key and lock, that goes and sits there. Okay? So that receptor gets activated. So like that, once that gets activated, then this whole protein structure of the cell changes. It has a channels called sodium channels, calcium channels, potassium channels. So the way these ions will come out or will come in or go out, that all changes. And depending on what all ions have come in and gone out, this dendrite forms another electrical signal. Like that, so many dendrites will form all the signals. They will all be integrated. Then they will go to the axon, and then that will be transferred to next one. So these are just lots of neurotransmitters. Just read through to understand that how they affect your things. Like in dopamine is a very important chemical for Parkinson disease, schizophrenia. So any shortfall in the formation of these neurotransmitter causes a lot of problems, mental problems as well as understanding problems. And when I said emotion, so now let me say that emotions is nothing but formation of certain neurotransmitter and chemicals in our body. Okay? So it's not one emotion to one chemical. It's not like that. It's a mixture. But when I am happy, endorphin and probably dopamine are being formed in my body. So whenever those chemicals are formed at if they form somewhere else, doesn't matter. They have to form at certain places which are designed. I said no, we have a pleasure and pain center. So that pleasure center has to get triggered by these chemicals. But these chemicals have to get formed, they have to trigger those pleasure centers, and then we get that emotion. So every emotion, anger, jealousy, envy, happiness, sadness, whatever you name, all those chemicals is nothing but formation of certain chemicals in your brain. They are equivalent. Okay? So emotion is what we sort of perceive as experience. It's a manifestation. But inside what has happened, nobody is sitting there saying that, oh, now you please feel happy. Now you please feel sad. Nobody is giving those orders. As soon as those chemicals are formed, you automatically interpret the presence of those chemicals as experiencing that emotion. Okay? So it's very interesting to understand how each one functions, but then this is not a 2-hour business. Now, this is what each cell is. It is a very input-output, computer people should appreciate. It has a resistor, it has a capacitor, and it has a lot of batteries. And all those batteries get activated. There are neurons which activate or they deactivate. And depending on all these, so many complex things will form, and finally they will result into a neuron producing some kind of spike. This is called spike of voltage. So spike can be tuck, 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 tuck. It can be tuck, 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 tuck. It can be tuck, 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 tuck. So each spike has a meaning which the cells understand. When you say tuck, tuck, cell understand what does that mean. And that is how this whole complex thing, depending on what spikes are formed, at what frequency they are formed, at what, this length, altitude, or whatever you want to call it, all these things matter. But the cells understand, so let us not worry about it. Cells are understanding it very fine. But anytime this thing goes wrong, if wrong pattern is formed, we have a problem. Now, wrong pattern forms because wrong neurotransmitters are formed. So, all the illnesses, mental illnesses are connected with this. And therefore, there are two things you can do about it. One is that you give a chemical which is same as the neurotransmitter that body was producing. So like Parkinson, we produce less dopamine. So what you do? You give medicine which is called L-Dopa. L-Dopa is nothing but dopamine. So you are just adding dopamine to the body, thinking that okay, it will help. It doesn't help completely, but it does help. There is another way. Ultimately what dopamine is doing, it is generating the proper electrical signal. Now technology miraculously has so advanced that there is something like called deep brain stimulation. So now they have really invented electrodes which you can put into the brain of the person suffering from Parkinson, and you actually give him the voltage that the cell is supposed to give, and it almost gets cured. You can almost become a normal person. That's what the technology can do. That's where all this knowledge can help. This I just wanted to have an overview of how complex things are and how this knowledge can help the illnesses. What are the illnesses? When these spike patterns get disturbed, we get disease like Parkinson, deficit. Okay. How medicine works? They just change the. Okay. This is what the neuron network looks like. Again, I have excellent videos, but I think we will have to skip the videos, right? What happened is videos help you in understanding rather than my talking, but it's all a matter of time. Should I skip the video? No, it will be useful, but ultimate useful is the techniques which are quite far away, Yeah. No, we are not yet ready for technique. We need to first understand a lot of things. So I'll skip the neuron network. Yeah. All this good stuff we have to see. This is what we are born with, This is what the personality traits would be, and what the education is supposed to do is this curve. If this is negative and this is positive, the education is supposed to make this curve like this. That is what it is supposed to do. And now what is happening is it is becoming like this. Yeah? Oh, higher brain, anyway, we will completely skip. So 130, 145, you give me a time so that. Okay. Now let's try to understand how midbrain learns. Okay. As I said, it learns by two methods. One is the order. Okay. So that means that you simply order the midbrain to change and it will change. But that is a relationship that has to be established early in the life. And this is called willpower. Says that some people have good willpower. That means what? Once we explain to them, once their higher brain is convinced that there is the way things should be done, then it simply tells its midbrain, oh, stop doing this and start doing that. And midbrain obeys. And midbrain will obey. That is how you have designed it. If you have made it clear to the midbrain that I am the boss and you listen to me, as I said, midbrain is not going to fight with you. He is going to say, okay, you are the boss, please tell me what to do. Right? But if you have not told him, and if he has got the idea that it is the boss, then it is not going to change that easily. It will change, but it will take time and effort. Okay? So it learns by that order. It learns by experience. Yeah? Now, unfortunately, the experience that it acquires without any effort are all bad experiences. See, consider why few years back, say 3-4 generations back, 100 years back, why these all problems were not existing, all these social problems I talked about, why they were not serious? That is because there was a system in which midbrain was properly programmed. What do you call sanskar? What do you call traditions of the country? What do you call culture? So a child was taught that this is bad, this is sin, this is not good, God gets angry. Whether God gets angry or not doesn't matter. His midbrain was programmed for saying that this should not be done. Okay? Now we are saying no, we should have a choice to decide. Yes, we should have a choice to decide, but midbrain is not, doesn't have ability to choose. So it gets whatever is given to it. And then earlier child were protected. Who had influence? Parents had influence, teachers had influence, right? Now who has influence? TV has influence, movies have influence, magazines have influence. They are the things which are sort of programming your midbrain. And doesn't matter time-wise or priority. I have passion about one topic, so I am going to talk about it. is that lots of people, the people don't realize, perhaps after learning this you will realize what kind of effect the all Sasu, what Sas Bahu and all these serials are having on women. I had this constant argument, including my mother. Everyone I told, please don't watch this. This is having very, very harmful effect. You know? But their argument, argument is that, oh, come on, don't tell me. We don't get influence. Do you think that I am going to pick up a gun and shoot somebody just because I see so much crime? Well, no, because that probably is decision of your higher brain. But please don't make a mistake. That don't think that your midbrain is not getting programmed. It is getting programmed all the time. You are seeing these TV shows. It is getting programmed. It is a simple thing. People are becoming indifferent. See, people don't have to become criminals, but people are becoming indifferent, right? You see somebody lying on the road with accident, you say, okay, it's none of my business, right? So it is affecting everybody, and there is no wonder it has to affect. Because you consider now midbrain as a machine, that's what you are showing him. You are saying this is the way it functions, and that is the way it is going to accept, because it cannot challenge like higher brain can challenge. So higher brain will challenge. I am not saying all of you will become criminal or anything, but slowly, and I am sure that given guns, lot of people will use the gun also. Okay, so don't think, and children are watching all this. And I really wonder, I genuinely want answer from some women that look at all these shows. Just, I cannot understand the way in which women are projected in those all serials. Horrible. All women are jealous, scheming, extramarital affair. You tell me a bad trait and you will find a character having that bad trait. And comparatively, men are not that bad in all those serials, they are all sort of normal. They are also normal people, some bad, some good, but not extremely bad. But women, my God, now what I am not able to understand is, what are all women organizations are doing? I mean, how come nobody shouts against, I am telling you, if these television shows are shown outside, nobody will be prepared to marry an Indian woman. In fact, if you say, oh look, this is what an Indian woman is. But then again, see, where is the answer? The answer is, what things should be shown is not decided by higher brain. Do you think that Kareena Kapoor or whoever, what? Yeah. So do you think she doesn't understand? She understands, but she knows that this is what appeals the midbrain. This is what appeals the midbrain. And therefore, let me show that. That is what is happening. My God, at least please think. Okay, now one very crucial concept. Now we are talking about changing the midbrain. Okay, so now we have to give it a signal that this is not good and this is good thing that you should do. Now, as I said, it learns by experience. So very simple thing is, if it has learned something for 10 years, it will take 10 years to unlearn it. Very simple. See, one important thing I didn't get time to actually talk about is, I said that information is all these connections, right? Now, how brain works is, a connection that is used frequently becomes stronger and stronger. That probably people are aware. So any connection that you use frequently becomes stronger and stronger. And any connection that you don't use dies out. That means that connection, it doesn't exist after some time. That's how unimportant memories get lost, and it must happen, otherwise it will be chaos again. So many unnecessary connections, right? So therefore, what your brain has been doing for 10 years, those connections are very strong, right? So if you introduce a new connection, saying now this is the way it should be, then that connection has no value. Whenever that topic comes, automatically the connection with a stronger strength, that is the connection which will come to the forefront, and that is the connection which will get executed. I mean, makes sense, right? That's the way it will happen. So you will have to make new connection for so long. So then it is not practical, right? I mean, you say, okay, I am 50 years age and I have certain trait that I want to do. Okay, I get angry and I understand that anger is not good and I want to quit that habit. But now if you are telling me that my already circuits are formed for getting angry and now I want to change circuit, then it will going to take another 50 years. sorry sir, I'm not even going to try, right? But luckily it's not that. What is important is not only the time or number, but the strength, right? The strength. So it's the impact factor. The impact factor is strength of the signal multiplied by how long the signal is given. That is what is important, not just how long the signal is given, right? Is the strength of the signal multiplied by how long the signal is given. All engineers will understand this perfectly, right? So what we have to do is we have to increase the strength of the signal, right? Once you do that, then you don't need so many years. So first, now when you are about on the journey of making changes, first thing, understand that don't waste your time in explaining anything to the midbrain. Okay? It's useless. Don't waste time on that. Use that time for making a new connection and try to make those connections powerful. Yeah? Yeah, I think I had prepared in such a way that now I'm going to explain everything that I said and connect it to the midbrain functioning. But I think the connection is becoming quite obvious and people can just relate to why all those problems are there, how it is connected to machine. But again and again, this is a starting point. Understand this, that it is just a machine. It is just a machine. It's single-minded, never tiring, never giving up, very, very efficient and persistent machine like Terminator. Just carrying out what it is programmed to do. It does not, no, it cannot argue against the programming. Yeah? Is that point absolutely clear? Because people think it is absolutely clear, but it doesn't happen. Huh? Let me tell you from my experience. Whenever I talk about people, why did, no, but this is not, I said, no, what did he do about changing the programming? Don't tell me any learned thing. Don't give me explanations. Don't tell me any theory. What did you do in terms of making the changes in the programming? That you have not done anything. That's what the result is. Okay. So I'm trying to just, I don't know, motivate you. Yeah. So I mean, really understanding. That's why I said that repeatedly. If you really understood this and its implication, then you have taken the first crucial step in taking charge and control of your body. Yeah. And that is why I urge you not to think midbrain as just one part. And then if you consider it part, you will consider it not an important part. See, as far as brain is concerned, is the higher brain which is important, because that is the essence of humanity, after all. If you remove the higher brain, we are animals. Even with higher brain, we are animals is a different thing. But without that, we are definitely animals, right? So that's why lots of things, all concentration is there on the midbrain. You take a neurosurgeon, he will understand that brain perfectly. Most things go wrong there, so psychology, everything. But this brain is what needs attention. So that is my argument about why that part, and I will skip that. Yeah. So things go wrong at the hardware level and software level. Not much can be done if things go on wrong on hardware level. If the things go on hardware level, then Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, even Parkinson. Sometimes the cells, since Alzheimer's typically, what happens is the cells in hippocampus, that is the memory. I didn't talk about hippocampus, there was no time, but it's a very important organ. So the cells in the hippocampus, they shrink, and you can see the scan of the person who is suffering through Alzheimer's. There are no cells, very few cells. So naturally, what can you do? That's why it is untreatable. You can't do much about it. But there is a very good video I have which tells you what precautions you should take so that likelihood of Alzheimer's, you getting Alzheimer's, can be delayed, or you improve your risk. But again, it is the same thing. I mean, people know they should eat healthy, they should do this, but they don't do that. So that's what happens. It requires effort, and then everybody feels that, oh, I am not going to be in that percentage who get the Alzheimer's. But as our average age increases, these things are now in US, some 30-40% people are suffering from Alzheimer's. And there is no solution. Even president of US could not be helped, right? Reagan had that. Nobody can be helped. You have just to live with that. When software goes wrong, we get mental illnesses, stress, depression, burnout, lifestyle diseases, metabolic syndrome. Okay, now Now is a topic which I completely wanted to avoid and never include in this topic, is the topic of stress and happiness, because this is a vast subject. I take workshop on stress for 2 days, right? So 16 hours, and it needs that. Believe me, it needs that. But my son-in-law insists that this is a topic you should not, it has to be mentioned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give very, very, very brief introduction to stress, so that at least you understand what it is, not what to do about it, but what it is and how it is connected with midbrain. So I will talk a little bit of that and a little bit about happiness. So stress is a direct wrong programming of midbrain, nothing else. If you change that programming, there is nothing like stress. Okay? Same thing, depression, burnout, and stress is progressive. Once you have that, you go into that. Lifestyle diseases is a metabolic syndrome. People are familiar with the term metabolic syndrome? No? Oops, I think you read. Yeah. So I will run through that, and then we'll decide. If people are still, whoever wants to wait for more time, I am prepared to wait. We'll do it that way. Yeah. So should I go to techniques and skip stress? Stress take 5 minutes, happiness will take 5 minutes, and then the techniques will take 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So we'll skip happiness. I will take stress. Okay. Okay. So now for this group, probably stress is the most thing that people would like to understand about, because really speaking, I have not come across many people who are completely stress free. I am one of them, by the way, but not many people. So basically, the problem starts with the definition of stress. Unluckily, the person who invented stress was not from physics and all, so he invented a wrong term as stress, and then he said, no, if I knew physics, I would have called it strain, not stress, but then that term had got stuck, so it is called stress. So when I ask people, how do you describe, what is the another term you will get? What do you mean by I am stressed? So people say that I am under pressure, right? So people, when they say, what are you doing? What is happening? They say, I am stressed, I am under pressure. So very first thing that you have to absolutely be clear in mind is that there is a difference between what is called stressor and stress. Okay? So pressure is a stressor. Stressor is something which can lead to stress, right? But it is not stress. Yes, there are a lot of things that can lead to stress, and in fact, we are ingenious in inventing things that can stress us. I mean, they are not natural, but we invent. Okay, I must make sure that this thing will stress me. This thing will stress me. That's how we have gone about. So a lot of things can stress you. They are all stressors. So first of all, you must understand that stressors are different from stress. Okay. Second thing you have to understand about the relationship between stressor and stress, and that is the relationship is, it is not inevitable relationship. That means the stressor does not have to lead to stress. This also people intuitively understand, because they know that the same event leads to stress in somebody else, or it leads to stress in me, but it doesn't lead to stress in somebody else. So that cannot be any automatic. Also in you also, time-wise, sometimes it stresses you, sometimes it doesn't stress you, right? So there are two types of relationship between cause and effect. One is inevitable, means what? Suppose you have a flame and you put your finger in the flame. Now finger will burn, the flesh will burn, because the laws of physics, chemistry, biology will ensure, okay, that your finger will burn. Doesn't matter whether you have positive thinking or whatever doing, the finger will burn. So this is called a inevitable consequence. You cannot change it. If you don't want that consequence, you have to make sure that the cause doesn't take place, right? If the cause is there, the consequence will be there. Now, first need to understand that relationship between stressor and stress is not of that type. Okay? That means it doesn't have to. So there is not a single thing in the world which has to lead to stress. Okay? There is not a single thing has to means it has to produce stress in anybody. Then it is definite. Every time in anybody, if it produces the stress, then it is inevitable. Even if you find one person in whom the stress is not produced, then the consequence is not inevitable. Okay? Now the definition. Now, as I said, I had promised you, this definition is my definition. This is my definition. Okay? So you understand it and use it if you want. But I 100% know that this is the correct definition. I don't know why this definition is not used. People use stress in different ways, difficult situations. That is qualitative description, and that's why a very wrong message is given that sometimes stress is good, and they say that sometimes without stress you will not progress in life. That is also I heard. There is no challenge, So stress is not like that. I define stress in terms of not outwardly signals or qualitative. Our body is governed by two systems. One is the nervous system and one is the hormonal system. So nervous system functions different ways. It gives signals to heart and different organs in the body, and the hormonal system produces proper hormones that are needed by the body at that moment. Okay? And now this whole thing is governed by two. This is a bit technical. I don't know whether you will understand, but 5 minutes, this is all I can do. But you can read through probably. There are two basic major branches of this system. One is called sympathetic branch and other is called parasympathetic branch. Okay? And this is called something called homeostasis, where these are all balanced, and this balance is what you need to have. Okay? Now what happens is, when the sympathetic system takes over from parasympathetic systems and governs our body, that is when you are under stress. Very simple, perfect definition, no argument about it. If your sympathetic system is not in charge, if your parasympathetic system is in charge, then you are not under stress. If sympathetic system is in charge, then you are in stress. Now what happens when the sympathetic system is in charge? Oh, horrible things happen. Now total molecular level mechanism has been established how this system as a chronic, this is, understand, this whole system has been designed for acute symptoms, for short time. And now if you have it as a chronic system, it is way too dangerous. So the relationship between stress and BP, ulcer, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, even to some extent cancer, everything has been fully established. I have those presentations with me where I can show you what exactly happens, what hormones are produced, what they do, then how all the metabolism changes, what things are produced, and how they lead to these diseases. All that has been perfectly understood, established, is totally scientific, there is no doubt about it. Okay? Now, interesting thing is, whether the sympathetic system will take over or not, as I said, is not automatic, right? So what is happening? There is a switch in the midbrain, okay? And that switch is by default put on position, okay? So if you don't do anything about that switch, then that stressor will automatically lead to stress. That's what will happen, okay? Now, there are 3 steps in which the whole process has to go through, okay? And if those 3 steps, if the answer to, there is step number 1, step number 2, step number 3. Naturally, I can't explain what those steps are, but there is step number 1, step number 2, step number 3. You say step number 1, yes. Step number 2, yes. Step number 3, yes. The switch is on, and you get stressed. Okay? If at any of those 3 steps, if you intervene and stop that step, okay, then the switch is taken to off, and you will not get stressed. So simple. Okay? Yeah, that is the techniques, right? That is the techniques, right? But first you need to understand this, right, to intervene, right? So again, techniques I will be able to only give you overview, right? What kind of thing can do. As I said, 2.5 hours are not something that you can make somebody expert in all this, right? This is basically to motivate you to learn, right? So, but I am telling you that intervention is possible. I am not telling you that intervention is easy. Okay? Nothing that you can do with midbrain is easy, but it is a matter of patience. It is like you say that, okay, I want to climb Mount Everest. Say how much? Say 50,000 steps. I mean, it will be probably more, but let's take an example. That you have to climb 50,000 steps, or say 100,000 steps to achieve something. Then most people will give up. Say, oh, I can't climb 100,000 steps. Okay? But then if I say that climb 100 steps every day, yes, it will take whatever 100,000 divided by 100. It will take those number of days. But now is the job easier? Is it possible? So that's what MidBrain is. The step that you take at each moment is not difficult at all. But you have to take that step for a long time. And you have to take that step with complete faith in the system. Okay? So, that's about stress. Yeah, worry, anger, we'll talk sometime less. Happiness will let go. Oh yeah, then you तुमचा सदरा द्या जरा लोकांना. A lot of people there'll be queue, huh? You start exporting happiness, I'm telling you, India has no foreign exchange problem.
If you export all happiness, then what will be left for
No, happiness doesn't, it is not something that gets over. Okay, so very briefly about techniques. Yeah. My God, we are leaving about half a lecture, but no, I don't get stressed. I'm just feeling bad because see, even I had a slide on philosophical questions. Now, this is a very important concept, but I think I will request you to take my word that brain is absolutely plastic. You can form new neurons, not to some extent, but you can make all these connections, and it has been very well established in the laboratory, and I had many videos to show that how brain is plastic and to what extent it can be changed. See, very simple thing. Consider that higher brain doesn't have any connections, so it's very easy for people to understand that you can form new connections and that is changing brain. Okay. Midbrain little more difficult, but yeah, you also know that people do change, their personality do change, so you know that it can be changed. Now question is only how, but it can be changed, and anyway reptile brain we don't want to change. But what was even a fascinating discovery for scientists or science and neuroscience is that earlier what was thought is that specific brain parts are designed and their architecture is like that hearing will be connected only to those and it will only process that information. But now science is discovering that you can even make the other part learn something else, and so it's not only the software that is malleable, it's not only the software which is plastic, but now people are finding out that even the hardware, so that is limit. So if the hardware can be changed, then what? Then there is no limit now what we can do, So I have excellent videos on those, how hardware was changed. Oops, brain changes itself. Yeah. So in very simple words, this is what normally happens. Events occur, they lead to emotions, the emotions lead to thoughts, and the thoughts lead to action. That's what the nature has designed, and that's what will happen if you don't intervene. If you don't do anything, this will be the natural flow of events. Now, actually this system is like this. That means all are interconnected. Oh, you can't see the arrows. There are arrows like this and this and this. All are interconnected. So anything can lead into anything. So instead of events leading to thoughts, action, emotion, you can intervene at two thoughts. You can intervene at action or you can intervene at thoughts. Okay? And the thoughts will produce proper emotions, or the action will produce proper emotions. This is the established fact. Now again, I request you to take my word for it, or you can look for it, because I have evidence but no time to present that evidence to show that this can be This is well established. But you have some practical examples, like laughter clubs. Now people laugh at that, but it is a very scientific idea. What it says is, you are feeling very sad, but if you go there and do like that, in 2 minutes nothing will happen. But you it every day, you see and find out. It will change your mood. So when you're happy, when you make that action, so all these relaxation exercises people have heard, that you tense your body and then you slowly relax. So what are you doing? You are taking an action which forces the system to go from sympathetic to parasympathetic, because sympathetic is connected with certain types of actions. And if you take opposite actions, then one has to give up. And if you insist on your action, which is in the control of higher brain, then that action wins and it switches, it forces the system to go from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Alright? So you can do it through action or you can do it through thoughts. Okay? Now, also this small point, there are two ways you can deal with stress or anything in life. Okay? One is management, and all the stress courses are called stress management courses. Okay? Now what it means is you already got a stress and you are doing a damage control. Okay? And that is the way you do through action. So what did they teach you? They teach you meditation, deep breathing, and they say running helps. So everything is based on action. Okay? And that action forces that system to change. And therefore the stress is no more there. But this was already there. Now what I am saying is, if you intervene at the stage of thought, then that switch is put off to off, It is never put on. So you never get stressed. So intervening at the stage of thought is a far better idea, but not as easy, because meditating you can force yourself to do, right? But people have problem in having particular thoughts in mind, but once you practice on that, it happens. It happens, okay? So it's much better to focus on thoughts rather than on action. So count 10 before, that is all. Yeah. So placebo effect is a well-known medical effect. So what I am saying is, the body knows, and it is already, placebo effect is an excellent example of how thought affects, So you have conviction that this medicine is good and it is going to do me good, then that medicine is nothing, it is placebo, right? It is just a sugar pill, but it still produces the same effect that the actual medicine produces. Now you tell me how it happens. Now this is the established fact, there is no everybody is scientifically shown, right? So now tell me how it happens. It happens because you are thinking that you are taking the medicine and therefore this should happen, and therefore it happens. Because your reptile brain knows what neurotransmitter or what chemical should be produced. It knows how to cure. It needs a signal that it should cure, So that signal has to be given. Okay? And that thing gives, that placebo effect gives a signal. Okay? So body language, you just walk straight and like a confident person and you start feeling confident. These are all small things you must have observed. Oh, this is a very nice example. How you get, this is all examples where you feel that you are in control, but you are not. So they are very simple things, like they display the board that reuse the towels if you are staying for more than 3 days, and they found that 40-50% of people do that, which is good. That means their thinking brain has thought, yeah, this is correct thing to do, so they do it. Okay. So then all these social scientists are doing a lot of good work in this area, how man functions. So they said that they put up a board in the room saying that 80% of the people in this hotel reuse the towels. And just that saying that, giving that suggestion, and you want to be 80%, you don't want to be 20%. So the use of reused towels shot up from 50% to 65%, 70%. Okay? And then they said that, they said that people in this room always have recycled. And then you jump to 95%. Now look, the person knew, right? But only 50% were taking steps. So these are all small things, how to manipulate. This is a good manipulation. There are lots of bad manipulations, which is what I wanted to talk about. How the whole advertising industry is really exploiting you, forcing you to make decisions that are not in your favor at all. And you do, anyway, no time, right? Cognitive dissonance is a technique where say that two opposite viewpoints you cannot keep in mind for a long time. So one has to give. So how to do that? So that is the thought replacement. You put opposite thought in mind, right? So these are small, a lot of details. So very quickly, techniques. Now, there are some quick and fast rewriting techniques. Now, the change is like this, fast. You decide and done. Okay. I want to stop cigarette, I stop cigarette. That's it. Okay. Now, that happens because if you have good willpower, right? That is one way. The another way is inspiration. If you are inspired by somebody, like it's not easy to inspire people to go in jail for the sake of freedom. Say that abandon your family, abandon your life, go and stay in a jail. And that also not clear that by going in jail you will get freedom. It may call to West. So, but Gandhiji did that, right? He inspired people. Now going into jail and eating that stuff is not something that is acceptable to midbrain. It is way too unpleasant. So midbrain would never agree to that. Even higher brain will not agree to that because it will analyze, it is not worth going. But still people followed because Gandhiji could inspire. Okay? Churchill, he said we can win with Hitler. Now what do you think he did? Do you think he did SWOT analysis? Strength, weakness, opportunity and all that analysis? Oh, it would show that you should start running, All that analysis would say that. But he said no, we must fight. We are on the right side. God is behind us. Good has to win. And we will win. But he could inspire. So it's the midbrain. So midbrain, good, bad, every way you can use it. And desperation. Desperation. That is the way in which most people change. Most people say two things. Please, smoking is the easiest example I can give. So please don't mind, right? So it's not for you. Right? So it's the easiest example to understand. So I'm giving this example. So most people who are smoking, they say two things. One thing they say is, well, I don't accept that it will have bad effect because I know one person who smoked all his life and didn't suffer at all, right? So no, it's not going to happen to me. The second says, they say, it doesn't matter because what is life without pleasure? If I'm going to die tomorrow, it's fine. I'm prepared. I know that I'm not going to die tomorrow. 10 years down the line, I don't care. This is all the argument by midbrain, right? But the person gets heart attack, he's operated on, bypass surgery is done. The doctor says, oh, you were lucky you came in time, we could operate on you. But now if you don't quit smoking, please start writing your will, say goodbye, call all your relatives, say, well, I am about to go. Okay, start winding up. And then 90% of the people quit smoking. Yeah, there's the statistics. So what is happening? Is the desperation. Because now survival is far more powerful thing than pleasure. Right? So, okay. So these are the three ways in which this is one video is 2-3 minutes, I think I want you to see. No, what we went back.
Your thoughts alone can change your brain. When you simply think of
Because this is ultimate proof. You need some kind of solid proof, to
एवढाच आहे मॅक्सिमम आहे असं
But it had a normal voice in.
don't do anything other than thinking.
तर म्हणूनच आहे आवाज कमी आहे
They reset them
Okay, then we'll skip it.
and ask them to learn to do the 5
But this had a normal voice when I played. Anyway, we'll skip it then. Yeah? So these were the fast ways. Now these ways are not available to everybody because most people have a problem with willpower, they don't have willpower. So there is nobody to inspire them. In fact, there are many to demotivate them. And then you really don't want to wait till you reach that desperation stage, right? So then there are some slow, sure ways, that is. So actually you can group all these as a determination, inspiration, desperation, conformation and perspiration. These are the 5 ways, okay? The determination, inspiration, desperation, conformation, perspiration. Conformation is again I will skip because this is like a society thing, pressure of the whatever society decides and then people change. The way we change from Nauvari sari to Phai and then now skirts and soon we will go to bikinis or whatever will happen. So it becomes acceptable simply because now how do we learn this without those videos? No, not that video. There are. No, in these volume will be okay. Time.
I think okay. Why don't you take 5 minutes to wind up and then we'll have questions.
Ready, set,
Okay, then.
go.
Okay. No. Then I will directly go to end now. Hey, how is it happening? Yeah, I'm not able to go to the next slide. Next slide. Yeah. Okay. Let me very briefly talk about these 3-4 techniques, because these are the techniques that anybody can use. They are very easy if you are patient and if you have time and if you are willing to trust the technique. Then auto-suggestion is the simplest technique which has to work, okay, okay. Now what is auto-suggestion? People have heard this. Probably people know about auto-suggestion, then I don't have to really speak. So as I said, you have to give signal in terms of strength and number of times. So you are saying that something is bad. Now you want to tell that no, it is bad and this is the way you should do it, it is good, okay. So simple. So you want to give that opposite suggestion. Now as I said, you cannot give it for number of years. So what auto-suggestion basically does is science has found ways in which to make the signal powerful. So if the signal is very powerful, then the time required for implementation of the signal is less. Okay? Now one biggest factor which makes the signal strong, okay, is trust. Okay? Trust in the system. And that is why I like to explain all the science, because this system works for unpad people who believe in God, who believe in some guru or, because they simply do it. They say, okay, he has told me to do like the jab, ram, ram, ram. So they just faithfully do it. And intellectual, no, how come? No, but I don't think this is right. No, but why not do it like this? Oh, no, I don't agree. Well, it doesn't work. Okay? Not that it doesn't work, but instead of 3 months, it will take 3 years. And I'm sure that you are not going to stick with it for 3 years. So trust is one very, very basic and important component to increase the strength of the signal. That is why in the beginning I said that the first thing you say is, I trust Arvind. Okay? Now, if you are really able to trust me, and therefore you do it not because you have understood the system, but because you say that Arvind said like this, and I trust Arvind, and therefore I do it, then the chance of success is far better, and you will get the results far quicker. Okay? So that is the part that trust plays. Now another way of absolutely. See, higher brain you don't need suggestions. Higher brain you need explanation, right? So once given one explanation, that is enough. You don't have to tell higher brain repeatedly something. Whenever you need to take steps repeatedly, that is for the midbrain. And reptile brain you cannot change anyway. So all the changes I am talking about are midbrain changes. Higher brain changes are possible, but I am not touching them. That is how to increase the IQ, EQ and creativity, right? So I am not touching that subject, right? So Number of suggestions. So one way is trust. Another way is the timing, when you should do it. Now, what we know is that if you are in a meditative state, so our brain all the time emits waves, that actually you can measure those signals. The alpha, beta, delta, theta, etc. you must have heard, depending on the frequency, what frequency the brain is emitting at. Now, during meditation is the alpha waves which are produced. And what has been found is that that is the most receptive state. That means whatever we get the input when we are under alpha stage, that input has got lot of strength. So if you can go in meditation and give the instructions, works very nicely, works much faster. Now again, most people cannot go, do not go, or do not want to take effort to learn meditation and give instruction to meditation. So what does it say? It says that just before sleeping or just after you get up, those are the times when our brain is nearest to that alpha state. Therefore, this has to be done at that time. Now, like this, there are number of rules. It is not very simple. There are rules, but those rules are very simple. You have to only understand. I can perhaps mail all those rules to people. Okay? So, if you follow those rules, then what it does is it increases the strength, and then I would say that normally in 3 months people find a difference. But 3 months they have to persist every day. It has to be done in exactly same fashion. And there are many things like it has to be in a simple language, it has to be positive language, there are not to be too negative, it cannot be in future sense, not that I am going to change my weight, decrease my weight. It has to be I have decreased my weight. You have to attach emotions to it, because emotions play a big part in making the signal strong. So you have to use words like fantastic, great, how nice, I am feeling very happy. Just one very small personal experience, because this I have experienced and I have used, and this is an opportunity everybody gets. 100 times somebody calls you or meets you and asks you, how are you? Right? And we go, oh, I am okay, I am all right. Now, after reading this, few years back, actually I had a lot of anecdotes that I would have liked to share, how I faced a big crisis in my life. And I came out of that crisis because of this knowledge, and partly the reason why I had spent so much time in my life to search for the answers is because I faced a crisis. And when I came out of it, very simple things like, when you say, how are you? You don't say, I'm all right. I say, I'm great. Fantastic. How is life? Life is fantastic. How are you? Nice, great, fantastic. Please try it. Try it for a month. Never say I'm all right. Say I'm good. Have you observed that if you ask me, I always say that? I always say I'm great, fantastic, I'm doing very well. And understand that I don't have to feel very good. So I may be in a very bad mood at that time. Okay, I may be in very bad mood at that time. Maybe I am just this, whatever, bad emotions. But if you ask me, how are you? I must say great, because saying that I am great pushes my midbrain into feeling great. And it happens. Will not happen on first day. So don't tell me yesterday I tried it and didn't work. Okay? Okay? But it works. Now, of course, these are all guidelines. What happens is every personality is so unique that what works for somebody doesn't have to exactly work like that. But the guidelines are there which are valid. There are hundreds of ways. You have to understand all those ways. You have to choose what suits you, and it will work. So that is about auto-suggestion. Creative visualization is a technique. Oh, what is the limit of auto-suggestion? What can you change? So people say, okay, now Suman doesn't get angry with me, so I do auto-suggestion. Suman should not get angry with me. Suman, or college students, they say, oh, this girl should like me. This girl should like me. This girl. Oh, sorry, it doesn't work. That girl has to say that. That girl has to say that. you saying that. So it works only on you. Okay, it works only on you, and it works only as far as you don't break any laws of physics, chemistry, biology. Okay, so those are the limits, right? So if your hand is amputated and you say, oh, let me grow another hand, let me grow another hand, no, that is not going to happen. Okay. So those are the limits. So actually I wanted to speak on what is the limit of mind, And limit of mind is actually, it can cure, Not that it happens, not that it is even, I don't know, because otherwise I would have cured my BP. But there is a way. One very interesting thing, I don't know, there are videos which showed that thoughts can change the expression of genes. You know? And those who did that genetics with me, remember those 3 ways in which to change the express. All cells have all the genetic information, only some of it is expressed, right? And then we have seen those 3 ways in which that expression can be changed, that how it is wound up around that histone protein, and how that methylation and acetylation and all those. Now 4th way I had not explained at that time because I thought that I will get good time to explain it here, so I did not explain it that time. But there is no time. But even thoughts can change the expression. That is how it works. Ultimately, when it produces all these chemicals, doesn't produce these chemicals means what? Means that cell has got an instruction to express or not express particular gene. So thoughts can change the expression of gene. It cannot change gene, okay? But it can change the expression of gene. So those are the limits I wanted to talk about. So creative visualization works fantastic for people who are artistic mind or who can visualize something very nicely. They must actually go. All the directors and art writers and they have power where these people actually they see the whole movie before it is put on the paper like that, and they see actually scene by scene how acts and what movements he does and what action he takes and what expression on his face, and this is a great power if you have. I'm not sure how much, to some extent it can always be developed. But now the thing is, if you have this power and if you understand the science, then what you do is, you go to your liver and you imagine the beta cells and you say the beta cells today like this shrunken, not producing insulin, and then you start imagining that they are becoming better and better and better and they are producing insulin. It can do. That is what the possibility, okay? So I don't think that diabetes people should stop any medicine and start doing this. but it is possible, and there are people who have got cured from cardiovascular, and these are medical histories. So I am not talking about some sadhu keeping hand on and say, oh, now you are cured. I am talking about medical histories where proper data has been kept, and people have got miraculous results which science cannot. Even the cancer has gone in remission in many cases, and people say you can't explain, right? So these all things are done through these methods. If you are good at creative visualization, it just helps. Okay? Self-hypnosis, again, strongness. When you are under self-hypnosis, you are receptive. So the midbrain is not rejecting anything, saying, oh, this doesn't conform to my previous ideas, So when you are under self-hypnosis, the signal is very strong, and the replacement of older signals by a new signal becomes very easy. Neuro-linguistic programming is the most advanced technique. It's called NLP. It is based on theory that we form maps of the events and you change those maps. So anchoring is the most easiest technique in that, which I actually decided to explain. But that is the easiest, which can be very easily learned. But let me just say there are called something like called modalities in that. So what is modality? So we say visualization is a big modality in which we see the system. And then there are sub-modalities. That means it depends on how you form the picture in your mind, and it is different. It is different for different events. So what it says is, suppose you have formed a negative impression about some event. So there is some kind of picture in your mind. So they say, okay, now you close your eyes and tell me what is the state, how is that picture? You describe. Then you say, okay, how far is the distance, that picture? Is it colored or black and white? It is intense or it is hazy? And all kinds of, these are different submodalities it is called. There are many characteristics that it can have. And then what you do is you change those characteristics. So you say, okay, now something you have phobia. So you say, okay, I get this. So you run that movie, then you say that, okay, now you shift that movie at a distance. And when you take it at a distance, then the effect that it has on your body changes. So this is not so simple as this naturally, you have to learn it properly, but this is the basis. So you change the modalities of understanding and executing all these different things, and by changing those, you can completely rewire your brain. So the thing you were afraid of, you will not be afraid of anymore because those connections are all gone now. So these are the different ways in which it can be done. Now problem with these is, these are all very simple methods. they almost appear stupid. People feel ashamed to practice them because they say that you should say something all the time you should write, you have bad habit that I quit this, and you should write, make billboards, write everywhere, say that all the time, and people say, oh, come on, the people will laugh at me. And yes, they will laugh at you, but I think let them laugh at you if it is going to give results. So all these things do work. If you take the statistics, 80% of uneducated people benefit and only 2% of educated people benefit. So understand why? So because faith, is essential. You must believe in this. You are saying, oh, I don't think it will work. Please don't even try. Okay? If you start with that, I don't think, but let me try. Arvind says, no, so let me try. Please don't try. It is not going to work if you start with a doubt. Okay? But my appeal to you is you go to literature. I mean, internet has been phenomenal right now. Only thing is what to believe or not to believe. That is a problem. But there are intelligent people, you can make that decision. Go to literature, you will find that yes, it makes sense. Okay? So this is about all the techniques. I think this is about all that the time permits. So just let me wind up. So I have tried to give you an overview of the whole thing. I have tried to emphasize to you how midbrain is important, how it works. There are a lot more details that you need to know before you start implementing the knowledge, because half knowledge is more dangerous than no knowledge. So don't start acting on it. But internet is a great source. There are books, and I don't know, at least to Rangoli group I am available. But this thing is not a fiction. This thing works. It absolutely works. And think about whatever changes you want to make and decide and use one of these techniques. Just make your higher brain king as it is supposed to be. And midbrain is an excellent slave, It has phenomenal capacities, which I didn't have time to explain you what all it can do. It can really do phenomenal things as a servant, but it is not good as a master. And right now, believe me, it is a master. Don't feel that you are educated and therefore you are in charge. You are not in charge. Okay? It's the midbrain which is in charge. It's leading to a lot of problems. Just all the best. Act on it. Stress is a very big problem. It is 100% curable. There is absolutely no way that it will not get cured, and even then not even 0.1% people are able to cure it. Okay? So there are solutions that science knows, there are solutions I know. I have gone through it. In fact, I wanted to share my experiences with you, but no, it's all question of time. So because I have gone through it, I was not a person like this. I can today say that I am totally stress-free person. I don't get stressed. It can be. No. It's a. So,
That was really very good. Why don't we have some questions? Wait. Let's have some questions first.
yeah.
Okay. No, okay. Any other questions first, and then we'll go to that. Huh? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know. I cannot remember.
Done.
How you may think that people will find it stupid if you do it, but does your higher mind also work against this, or is it just the right taken is just for your?
No. It is your higher mind which is the problem. That's why uneducated people can implement all these things very easily, because they believe and they faithfully do. Now, all these changes absolutely need a trust, because if you tell your midbrain that try it some, which may work. I don't think it will work, then it will not work. Because that is a signal you are giving. So higher brain is a big constraint in making changes in the midbrain. Yep.
But then when you say that you have to allow the higher brain to actually take control, then how will it happen?
No. First of all, see, that is the way I go, right? I respect higher brain. See, all the time I'm saying this, but that doesn't mean I respect higher brain, because kind of capability that higher brain has, only human beings have, right? Nobody else has. But problem is we are not using the higher brain properly, right? So, why I try to tell this? Now there is a lot of difference of opinion in